John said in one of our interviews, the most recent one last month, 2 months ago, he said, quote, "By the time the Beatles came to America, they couldn't perform live anymore," unquote.
That's the truth.
Was it frustrating to perform in concerts where you couldn't hear what you were playing because the audience was screaming so loudly?
It got frustrating in the end. At the beginning, it was just fabulous. I mean, you know, if you can imagine you're 22, 23, and you go on stage, and all those people are just screaming at you, loving you. I mean, you know, you were making and selling a lot of records and making good records. You know, it was everything you dreamed of.
The name of the game is to make it in America. It still is. That's the game in music. Doesn't matter if you're big in England, like Slade or Gary Glitter or all that. They want to make it here. They want to make it here. You know, America is the place because it's still the record. It's still Hollywood of the records. You know, it's still the movie capital. I don't care what they're saying. It's not the capital. It's still all the movie stars are here. You know, and it's the same with records. America's the place to do it.
Your concerts were 15 to 18 minutes of the average.
No. We had 12 songs, roughly just over 25 minutes was our act. And if we didn't like the place, we would do everything fast and get out in 20. You know?
20 is the fastest. You're up.
You do them all just a bit up-tempo. Of course, we did them slow some nights if we were tired, and that would go to 31. But that was our act.
And it just built up and built up, and of course round about 65 you know, it started actually to get a little tiring because, you know, we were starting to make really interesting records and we couldn't perform them.
We couldn't hear us, so, you know, it seemed to be you came to see the Beatles and then Paul counted it in, then you just screamed till we bowed and left. But it was great. The atmosphere was great.
And it didn't matter what we did, people were screaming anyway, so no one was listening. And because of that, we were becoming, you know, not the best musicians we would become because we could only play, you know, the actual thing. I mean, for me personally, you know, it's very hard to do this on radio, but I could only do the downbeat, you know, jack, 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 jack. I couldn't do any fills or anything because they would just disappear into the, you know, into the cosmos. So you found yourself, you know, you're just sitting there playing the track, really.
If you do too much touring, and in those days we only played 12 numbers, we got really stale as musicians. And you can tell when you get stale, you know, you don't feel good. So then the shows tended to be off, but no one cared. No one knew if it was good or bad. You know, we'd do the same show in two towns. One, we'd come off feeling good, and one would come off feeling bad, but we'd get the same reaction to both shows. No one would know the difference bar us.
And with the incredible screaming, I had to like watch the other three's backsides to see where we were in the song. And you know, if Paul went, "Oh, there we are, yeah." Or John would like be tap, whatever, he'd do a little move, okay, we're there now. Because I couldn't really hear anything.
You know, so I'd be watching Paul's foot or John's arse, or, you know, where we up to, you know, and I always knew when he went, woo, oh, we're up to that part. But, you know, that's how it ended up, and we made a conscious decision. We were becoming loose musicians. So we decided we need to go in the studio and see what we've really got.
I mean, we were making records, you know, we were progressing as recording artists and innovating lots of new sounds. Yeah. But we couldn't take them with us because, you know, the synth in those days was as big as this room.
So you couldn't
So you really couldn't reproduce anything worthwhile to what we were playing.
And he's right. I mean, I can see what he's saying when we couldn't play live anymore. Because of England, Europe, then the start of America, where, I mean, it's the great truth, no one heard us. Not even ourselves. I mean, I found it very hard. I mean, if you look at any footage, I'm looking at amplifiers thinking the sound's going to come through my eyes instead of my ears, but it's like, you know, direct your whole being to this amplifier to pick up something that's going on so I can hear. Because we went out, because of the noise, because we went out with very small amps and the house PA. I mean, you look at a band now, they're carrying 3 articulated trucks of equipment putting out 2 billion watts, you know.
We had the biggest bass amp
in the world at the time, and it's about this big.
And you couldn't hear the others playing. You had to get.
Well, you could hear like this rough rumble, and we'd played those songs many times.
But in the end, you know, we're musicians, and there was only the house PA, you know. It's not like I go on tour now. We've all got our own monitors and mics, and it's, you know, everybody can hear everything. We just went on using the house PA, even in stadiums.
That's when we decided to stop in '66. Everyone thought we toured for years, you know, but we didn't. I joined in '62 and we'd finished touring in '66 to go into the studio where we could hear each other and create any fantasy that came out of anybody's brain.